Hola David. Sí, un mes más y con buenas y malas. Buenas, seguimos vivos, malas. Me acabo de dar cuenta que mi Nikon S3 tiene un problema con las velocidades.
Exacto.
Tomé un rollo que estaba haciendo en Bleach Bypass. eh, un Fuji Supera 400, lo tomé a 800 y en el Shooter 1000 las fotos me salen en la mitad. Entonces tengo que llevarla a reparar. Pero bueno, todo bien.
A ver,
Eso ya lo veremos después. Todo chido.
te noté cabizbajo ya.
Sí, justo por eso. Pero no, todo en orden. Y aquí siguiendo, pues con otro invitado que se va a poner muy interesante esta vez y creo que de la gente que nos escucha va a sacar buen provecho de esta plática. Si quieres,
Exactamente.
preséntalo.
Sí, cómo no. Tenemos casualmente desde Ciudad de México a Frederik Trovatten. Frederick, how are you, man?
I'm good, todo bien, todo bien.
Todo bien, todo bien. Frederick, it's very interesting because, well, you are from Denmark, and but you are working and living in Mexico City. Can you tell us why and introduce something about yourself?
Sure. So I have lived in Mexico City for the past 4 years, and
Okay.
I came here to Mexico City because I was building a startup in Russia. So which doesn't make much sense without the context, but we were building kind of an app, kind of like Tinder, but instead of meeting people you want to sleep with, you meet people you want to work with. So we built an
Okay.
app where you find people nearby that has local skills that you care about, whether that's web design, programming, marketing, investment, and so on. So when we were in Russia, we built this app, and then in Russia, I met a Colombian girl, and she
Okay.
asked, "Why not? I mean, you can build this from anywhere. Why not build it in Mexico?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's do that." I had no idea about Mexico. I never thought a second about Latin America or anything. But yeah, we went here to Mexico 4 years ago.
Okay. And how do you like Mexico? What were your first impressions of Mexico?
It's a weird thing because as a foreigner, you guys probably know this, but everyone is like, no one knows anything about Mexico, but everyone thinks of cartel and drugs and crime and all of that. So a lot of things were surprising to me, especially how green Mexico City is, like how many
Yeah.
trees and green and food. And I mean, of course, there's a lot of crime and everything and all of that. It comes for a reason, but there's so many things that are left untold about Mexico City. And you cannot Google or watch YouTube. You need to go here and experience it like any other country. Like, what do you guys think of Russia? If you've never been there, you think of Putin and all
And
of these things.
snow, vodka, and very cold weather. Yeah.
It's the exact same thing with Mexico City. Like you
Yeah,
need
yeah,
to
yeah.
go to these places. So I think my family is very excited that my brother and I went to Russia, and then they had to go there because we are there. Now they went to Mexico to visit me, and then they actually get an idea about what are these two places we only hear about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right now you're living alone with your family or the girlfriend, or
Right now, I'm actually living alone here in Mexico City. And actually, let me check, in 7 days, in a week from now, I'm gonna leave Mexico City.
oh
Oh,
no.
really?
Yep. So
Leaving for good, or
yeah,
you're gonna
leaving
return?
for now. I'm gonna move somewhere else. I don't know where yet, but I have quit my apartment, my job, and everything, and now I'm gonna pack my bags and see where to go.
Okay, that sounds like a good adventure.
I think so. And I mean, I came here without no plans really. And then after all of this, then I stayed for 4 years. So it was so much better than I could ever imagine. And I'm not sure that I'm going to find a city that fits me as well as Mexico City wherever I go next. It could be, but I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. It is in fact surprising. I mean, I'm from northern Mexico, like
Tijuana,
in the
Monterrey.
border, next to Monterrey, Matamoros, Tamaulipas,
Yeah.
like in the top right corner of Mexico. And when I moved here to Mexico City, it was the same. It was really surprising how green it is, how many trees they are. I mean, traffic is bad, and you have a lot of noise and that kind of stuff. It is
Yeah.
big city problems, right? But it's so green. The people are great. The food is awesome. The weather is also great. So it is surprising. I mean, me being a Mexican, I was surprised by Mexico City, so I stayed.
Yeah.
And the plan is to stay for a little bit longer. But yeah, I can feel you in that way.
And of course, Mexico is so big that you have so many different like culture and like different kind of progressiveness, different kind of how religious you are. So
Yeah.
it matters a lot if you're from the north or if you're from Guadalajara or where you're from. It's very different from each state, right? And
Yeah,
Mexico
yeah.
City is a lot more progressive than a lot of the states there are in Mexico.
Yeah, actually, yeah, because it's a big country.
Yeah.
You, I don't know, it's a very multicultural country, and as a foreigner, I think that your first thought was maybe just tequila, tacos, and party, because that is the cliche for our
Exactly.
country, you know.
So, Frederick, you told us you were working in an app and a startup, and we also know you're a photographer and YouTuber and content creator. Why photography? How was that approach, that first approach to photography?
I've never in my life taken a single photo or touched a camera before I went to Mexico.
Okay.
So
Really?
yeah. So when I got to
Great.
Mexico, I do like everyone else. You go to a new country and you're like, oh my God, is that a taco stand? And you take photos with your phone and you go to all these different places. And then as a foreigner, oh my God, I just opened this shitty clubhouse. As a foreigner, you just take a lot of pictures because you have this culture shock because it's so different from any other country I've ever been in. I have never been in Latin America at all, so everything was so new for me. So it was so natural for me just to take photos with my phone. And then one day I was in what's it called with the boat, Xochimilco,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
with my
Xochimilco.
mom. And then there was this elderly couple sitting next to us because we took one of the public boats with like 60 people in it or something. And then I took a photo of this elderly couple. And after I come home, I was like, that's such a nice photo. And then I was thinking like maybe I should do something in photography, but I've never been I've never had a interest in arts, design, or all these things that you would think someone who does photography has an interest in. I was just playing a lot of sports when I was younger and I didn't care about arts at all. So it just came into me from like left and without any like prior ideas about it.
And that approach it's very interesting because you focus your photography on in a very particular subject that is street photography, right?
Yeah.
And why street photography? I know that that elderly couple was the first photo for, but why that specific that street photography?
I don't know. I think it's just what came natural to me because I would have never been interested in doing some like studio portraits or like abstract or anything. I was like, I think it's an honest and simple way of doing photography and something that came to me like naturally. So I didn't have to
Mm.
force it and I wasn't seeking it out. It just happened. And then I went down that road afterwards. And I do think afterwards, I also saw like documentaries like the Vivian Meyer documentary and
Yeah.
other documentaries about these people who just go about their own day and capture what they see in this mundane everyday life. And that was so attractive to me instead of like building a set and having like purple light and orange light and coming up with a concept. Of course, that's interesting for some, but it's not for me. I like this documentary part a lot better than like making a concept for that matter. I'm not saying I'm not going to do the other thing, but this is where it starts. And I think a lot of people in photography, they get like focused on one thing, like street photography only, and then they never do anything. The other day, I did some landscape photography with like a 16 millimeter 1.4 lens, like a super wide lens.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I think you can learn so much from trying to try out different photography genres. So instead of just sticking to one, you can have a specialty, and mine would be street photography. But I think if I practice portrait, landscape, conceptual, and all of this, then it's gonna improve my street photography a lot more by learning all these other things instead of just sticking to one.
Yeah. So basically, you've only taken photos of Mexico.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah, I traveled a little bit. Like, I was home in Denmark for Christmas, and I did something and then I did one day in London visiting my brother. But yeah, 99% Mexico.
That is surprising and great. I mean, I can see why you like naturally went for street photography, because it is so natural here in Mexico City, and there's a lot of stuff going on all the time, in early morning and in the afternoon, late night. I mean, you can go outside right now and grab a few frames that are great. And
every big
that's,
photo book has a chapter with Mexico.
Yeah.
Mexico and Cuba is in every photo book, right?
Yeah, of course. So
but that's also a tricky thing. Like, some people, including myself, are like, what happens when I go to Denmark? Like, it's gonna look very different from what I usually do. And I'm not a blonde güero in Denmark. I look like everyone else. So maybe I don't get the same güero pass, as my friends call it.
Actually, that's something, that's a future about you that you can like you can do a lot of things in Mexico City, because, well, I saw a video in your channel that you have a problem with a lady, actually, because you took a photo of the
Oh my God, yeah. In Portrait 400, I think it was Portrait, yeah.
Actually, you have a problem, no, right?
Yeah.
What was about that? That's a kind of experience that you had taking street photography, because you are taking photos about other people's
Exactly.
and other people's things, and sometimes portraits, houses. I don't know, that problem that I saw in your video, was that was because you took a photo of her house, actually.
Her work or house or office or something. I think she had a bad day.
Okay.
But there is something that you experience a lot, or it was just one time?
No, 99% of everyone I photograph are fine. There has been some times where it has been a little bit tricky. Like, a lot of times when I've been in trouble in Mexico, it has been not related to photography, but related to me being outside a little too drunk and not knowing what I'm doing. There has been some times with photography. There was a guy I photographed who was lighting a joint between two cars, and then I took a photo of him in La Roma, and he just like turned away with his joint and said, "This is how you're gonna get shot."
Yeah.
But that was the only time that it has been like a little bit dangerous or something. But other than that, I've been fine. And everyone in Mexico, they're super friendly and everything. So it has never been a problem. But I do think a lot of Mexicans, when I meet them, I meet a lot of people who notice me now when I make videos in Centro and so on. And a lot of the other photographers that I see, they are like carrying their camera, like hiding it, and then taking pictures in Centro and then hiding it again. And I'm walking around with GoPro and camera and everything just out all the time. And I think a lot of them think that I'm very lucky to have not gotten into more trouble than I have by walking in El Centro every single week.
Yeah, that is brave, man. I applaud you.
I think it's something that, because I'm a foreigner and I'm very naive in the way I do it, I'm just gonna do it. But maybe if I grown up in Mexico City, I would have that like protection more ingrained in myself. But now I'm like, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you looking like a foreigner, it is like, it gives you kind of leverage, because I'm, like, you're not gonna get harmed as easy as or robbed as easy as the people here in
No, sir.
in Mexico
Some
City.
people
Because
might think that this Guero is fucking lost. He's easy. He doesn't speak the language and he's lost here. Whereas someone who is the Chilango, he would know where to go and how to talk to them. So I think it comes with ups and downs.
Yeah.
I think, but I mean, like people who grew up here gets robbed every day, like even twice a week in the
Oh my God.
in the subway or in the streets, or
I mean, I've been robbed 2 times. And then there is a guy, a police officer. Maybe you will hear him during this interview. He always patrols here. He has one of my headphones. This is the second one I bought. So yeah. It happened like 3 months ago. I was outside. I was just having a beer on my doorstep, and then they came over to me. I was kind of drunk. We had like a little thing going on, and then I was sitting out there, and then the policeman came over to me, and I was just wondering. I saw them from afar. I was like, maybe they're looking for directions or something. I was like, I could have just walked in, but I was just waiting for them, and then they came over, and then they were like, you can't drink on the street, and I was like, oh fuck, I forgot about that. In Denmark, you can drink on the street.
Yeah. Okay.
And then they made a big deal out of that, 2 police officers. And then they put handcuffs on me, took me in the police car, and took my phone out, my headphones, and wanted me to transfer money from my bank account to their bank account. But this is a crazy story. But my credit card didn't work, and they were like, "Let's go to an ATM," and I was like, "My credit card doesn't work." But they were like, you need to pay us like 3,000 pesos or something. And then I went to my app on Rappi, and then I ordered the Rappi cash, and then we waited for we waited for 45 minutes just standing there waiting for a Rappi cash guy. And then he came, the Rappi guy, and then when he came, I just took the cash immediately and handed to the police so the Rappi guy could see what the fuck was going on. And then the police just like turned around like, no, doesn't matter, it's not about us. And I'm like, guys, fuck off. And then the Rappi guy went, and the police was like, so come with that money. So yeah, I've tried some of that. Yeah,
That's a crazy. That is a crazy story. Actually,
I've seen too many like documentaries from Mexico and so on that you don't want to be in like a cop car at night being a weirdo with handcuffs. I was like, let's figure this out.
At night, at daytime, you don't want any time. You don't want that.
No.
Really. Frederik, and okay, now we know you started to take photos here in Mexico, and you started with your phone.
Yep.
But we also know you take film photography.
Yeah.
How was that? Did you stumble upon a camera here in Mexico, or you ordered online? How was it?
Actually, there was a guy called Wesley, and he visited Mexico City. I didn't know him. He's another photographer. He does film photography. And then he just reached out saying, hey, should we take photos? I'm here in Mexico. And I just Googled like photographers in Mexico or something. And then he wrote me, and he was into film photography. And then we were like, yeah, let's go. And then we took photos, we hung out, and we became really good friends afterwards. And then a couple of days after, he was like, maybe we should do a video where you buy your first film camera. And then I can teach you how to load a roll and shoot it and everything. And that was the Canon AE1. So we went to Donceles, I think, in Centro. Yeah. And then we found one of these stores called Fotografica or something. And then, we made a video that now has like, I think 500,000 views. It's insane.
That store is the one in the corner?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, right. I know. Yeah.
I went over there like 5 months after that, and they were like, "Hey, Frederik, what's up?" And I was like, "We don't know each other. Like, what?" And then they were like, "There has been like 20 people coming to this store after your video, buying film cameras." So they were very sweet, and they gave me some 35mm rolls as a thank you.
Oh, nice.
That's great. That's great.
And then after that, I bought. I'm just gonna show it to you. 2 seconds. Guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So after that, I bought this beauty.
Ooh.
Is the 2.8, right?
Yeah, 2.8F. So I was like, after I saw this Vivian Meyer documentary, I was like, I need this one.
Yeah. No, actually, that is the Jewel of the crown. Actually, it's an
Yeah, no,
amazing camera.
Yeah, it's a
it
great,
is.
great camera.
It is so nice, and the thing is, it's very expensive as well. And but I was like, I want to see what I can do with this, and I like the idea about having like a TLR,
Yeah,
so you can
Hmm.
just look down instead of pointing and shooting.
yeah.
So I got my first like big photography job for like a Fortune 50 company, a
Okay.
big social media that all of us use. And then we did a photo job, and a lot of people think you can't do street photography commercially. And I also thought that because you take photos of strangers without their involvement.
Yeah.
But they wanted like natural looking photos for a global campaign, and Mexico City was one of the cities that they wanted photographs from. So they reached out, I pitched them, and I got the gig. And then afterwards I was like, I'm gonna treat myself. So that's why I bought this camera.
Great. You did right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And how
So
is your photography with this camera? How about you? Because your first camera was 35 millimeters, and this one is a medium format.
Yeah.
So how was that change about it?
It's, I mean, I think the biggest change was not 35 millimeter to medium format. I think the biggest change for me was the viewfinder, like looking
Okay.
down versus looking up. I think if me shooting film, I'm a lot slower. So there's a lot of photos that I miss. And then I sometimes take photos in low light situations. With film camera, I really don't. So it has changed a lot of how I take photos. And I come home with a lot better quality of photos, but a lot less photos, like everyone else. Like
yeah.
I have a Fuji X-T3, which is my normal camera, and there I come home with 500 photos on like three hours photo walk, and now I come home with like 90 photos. So it's very different. But what I really like about this thing is for portraiture. So where you can do street portraits, which is some of the things I do mostly, and that's the payoff is everything I need for that. So if I had to do a commercial portrait shoot, then I would use the Rolleiflex. Actually, this big company and the big photo geek that I got, they asked me, we need someone who does street photography and shoot digital and film. And I
Oh,
was like,
wow.
okay, really? I only had the Canon AE1 at that point, and they wanted like, we also want someone who does film. I was like, I could edit the photos to make it look like film. Like, okay, whatever. But I didn't, of course. But I was like, that's such a weird thing to ask. But maybe it's the new hip and cool thing, right?
Yeah, that is great. So this gig, this photo work, it was uh online. It was through social media. How did
I'm
you
not
reach
sure.
out?
It was an agency in the UK in London
Okay.
who got the job, and then they reached out to photographers in a lot of different cities. And then it was a big thing. I did it for like 3 days with 20 or 30 different friends and models, and a lot of contracts, a lot of model releases,
Oh,
location,
yeah.
and everything. It was a big thing, and I was very inexperienced in it, so I learned a lot from that, and I was very happy. I also told them there's a lot better photographers here in Mexico than I am, and a lot more experienced. But I was like, no one has taken photos of more Mexicans and more street in Mexico than me, so give me the job, and that worked out.
And so, Frederick, about your YouTube channel,
Hmm?
does that started with that video of you buying a film
No,
camera? It was before.
yeah, I actually just it was just me with a Ricoh GR2, I think.
Mhm.
And then I was just mounting a GoPro on it because I was like, I'm gonna go out and take the photos anyway, so I might as well put a GoPro on it, and that's it. And then of course it's never like that. Then you're like, I also need a softbox for studio. I need a mic. I need this. I need that. And suddenly you're sucked into this rabbit hole, man. So and then whenever I go out and take photos, it might be 3 hours. Right now I do 3 hours, and then I do another day of like 3 hours per video. So I come home with like 6 hours of GoPro footage per video. So there's a lot to go
That's
through
a
and
lot.
everything. Yeah, yeah. But it's Now it's I haven't announced it on my YouTube channel yet, so you guys get the exclusive. But I just quit my job and now I'm gonna do that full time. So now I'm getting there.
Great.
That's actually one of our questions, because I
Yeah.
think that is the utopic life for too many people, that quit your job and do what do you want to do. In this case, YouTube channel about photography and this stuff. So how do you, as a beginner, how do you can make money about this project?
So for the past 13 years, since I was 18, I was kicked out of school, and then I got into high school again. I never took like a university thing or anything. I didn't work well in school. So when I was 18, I got a job in digital marketing because I was a little bit interested in it. And then I got like a trainee position somewhere. And then I was really into digital marketing, and I had done that for the past 14 years. So I've worked in a lot of different companies. That's also why me and my brother and everyone made an app together. So when I started doing my photography channel, I had a lot of experience in digital marketing, which was very helpful for me. So
Yeah,
in a
of
lot of
course.
like search engine optimization and analytics and social media and paid advertising and all of that. So I had maybe an edge on a lot of other people in terms of how to promote it.
Yeah.
So if people search for the Rolleiflex 2.8F, I would like to be number one on YouTube and number one on Google and all of that. And then yeah, just learn it day by day. There was a lot of new things for me as well, like how to make money on affiliate marketing. And a lot of the people who I can break it down for you like this maybe. So on my YouTube channel, you get paid for advertising on YouTube, the commercials,
Mm-hmm.
probably that's 20% of what I earn. And then there is sponsorships and
Mm.
Squarespace, Skillshare, and all of that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's 30%. And then there's affiliate marketing, which is when I recommend lenses or cameras that I used and people click on my link and go there. That might be another 40%. And then somehow it changes a little bit. Some days, some months, is it more the other, but that's basically how it looks for me. I'm still not there where I think now I'm making it, but I'm comfortable enough to quit my job and go in that direction. And
Yeah.
it has taken me maybe 2 years.
Yeah. 2 years of constant work with your YouTube channel and
Yeah.
also your day job,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. That could be exhausting. So
Yeah.
Frederik, I know definitely internet changed the way we consume photography. But do you think uh, beyond internet, social media, do you think it has transformed the way we consume photography, the way we
Yeah.
reach out?
Yeah. And not in a good way. I think it has opened a lot of possibilities to get in, like me. So, of course, there are some good things about it,
Yeah.
because if there's no social media, who should watch my photos? Like my family and friends. So, of course, there's a lot of great things about like the entry barrier. It's kind of like, let's say that I want to be on television. Well, in the 90s, then you needed approval of a million people, and there was like
Yeah.
these gatekeepers saying you can or you can't. But
Yeah,
now you
of
can do
course.
whatever you want. So and that's probably the best thing about it. But I do think once you're in, it gets very like people don't buy that many photo books, and people don't do a lot of things that would help them. It becomes a lot about like like cliques on social media, like whether it's Twitter, Instagram, or whatever, where it becomes a little more like a closed club, and a lot of people spending their time trying to get into these clubs, and when they're not a part of it, it kind of fucks with their ego and their self-esteem. And you see that a lot,
Yeah.
or maybe I see that a lot, and that's not healthy for anyone. And I think a lot of photographers back in the day, you could say the same, maybe, that they're not a part of the fine art clubs, and there's
Yeah.
maybe it was also kind of like that, but it's more visible now because you can see all these people chatting together and sharing each other's work, and you're like, how can I be a part of that? I don't know. I don't know. For the moment, I just focused on doing me and focusing on just looking at what I do instead of looking at what others are doing, because I think there's pros and cons.
And
Yeah, go ahead, David.
oh, it's this question is about social media and this spectrum that you told us about. Be be part of some club or be part of some uh, these cool guys that are famous actually. So do you think that there is something more, or we are missing something about the social media that we don't understand how it works? Because there is a lot of people that join social media expecting something, but when it realize that is the fame, maybe the money is that easy, they have a
Mm.
they have a very hard falling.
I agree. And I think people are like, they're focusing on their likes and their reach and retweets and everything. And of course, I've done the same thing as well, but it's just a bad road to go down on. Like nothing will come, like there's nothing good coming out of that. And if you usually get 50 likes and you get 100, then you're happier. But if you usually get 100 likes and you get 50 now, then you're sadder, and then you doubt whatever photo you put out. And I know there's a lot of photos where I put them out, I'm like, this is not going to be performing as well, but I'm like, I care about this photo, so it's going to go out, and you know what's going to work and what doesn't. But for me, I wish that they could remove all the following and followers and all likes, so no one can see how many followers you have, how many you follow, how many likes you have, how many reach you have. You just post, and
Yeah,
that's it. You can follow everything. Everything can be the same, but everything, like your reach and all these like vanity metrics that get to decide how you feel about what you put out. I don't think we should have that.
yeah.
Okay.
It should be like a online gallery without the metrics, the numbers. Yeah. I was gonna ask, like going back to street photography, which are the photographers that inspire you, or which is your favorite street photographer?
I mean, there's a couple that I really like. I like Vivian Meyer. I like William Klein. I like Alquimica. I like people who does something like that. They're not too high on their horse and a little very humble, and they are not that artsy, and they don't put themselves on a pedestal, and they just do whatever they feel like. And I think William Klein is probably my favorite. But there's also another photographer who went to the States, and then he photographed kids working in like coal
Mm.
mines and in tough jobs and so on. And then he was like, how is this allowed? And we are taking advantage of kids working. And then he went to all these factories and he photographed in like hidden method. And then he showed America what was happening with our children, and they were in like tough jobs, and they had this old soul, but they're half meter tall, but they look like grown-ups. That's probably what I think
Yeah.
is the most inspiring and what I would like to do in the future. And like pretty pictures and all of that, that's fine. But I want to do photos that does something, that changes something and has an impact. And a pretty photo has not that much impact. Like that guy who was going on, and yeah, he was actually changing the labor laws, and that's inspiring, and that's something I would like to do. So right now when I'm finding out like where should I live, where to go, now I've been in Mexico for a long time, that's a lot what I'm thinking about right now. Like how could I make an impact with my photographs, and what kind of topic would I like to improve?
Yeah, that is I mean, everywhere in the world you can find that kind of situations and topics. I mean, maybe Latin America, it is like more. Uh, I don't know. You can find that kind of things right in the corner.
Yeah.
I mean, I
But then
suppose it's
it could
different
also be
in.
like, oh, Frederick, you're a blonde person. and you go to Mexico and you just say, oh, what the fuck is happening here? So you also, it's sensitive, right? Because you don't want to be a güero just going to another country that is less developed than where I'm from and just point out things that doesn't work. So it's better if it's within your own environment.
Yeah. But I mean, you're gonna need a little bit more of time and like investigation to get to those topics. I mean, in Denmark or
Yep.
anywhere else. I mean,
100%.
yeah, but it is great. Now I remembered a Mexican photographer that it is kind of street photography, but I mean they weren't many streets when he was taking photos. But I'm gonna reach the book.
Yeah.
It's called Manuel Alvarez Bravo. I don't know if you have ever.
No, I don't remember the name, but
seen.
maybe I do remember the photos. Try show me.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it the person who took photos of a lot of tragedy? Like there's a photographer who took photos almost of corpse in Mexico, like a traffic accident or a shooting.
Oh no, that one is Silvestre. It's another one actually that works in a newspaper, and he had to do a lot of this kind of photograph. Actually, let me find that. Let me find that name, because Bravo, it's another photographer. They do this street photographer like Cartier-Bresson, and because Cartier-Bresson did.
Is it the Mexican Cartier-Bresson?
Kind of,
yeah, because they have this style, street photography style, about showing maybe the social classes, poverty, and some that kind of scenarios. So maybe that's very 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 similar.
I mean, he has a lot of pictures. I mean, I'm just trying to.
Can you show them on the camera? Now you're on full screen, Beto.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just trying to get to the. This is one of the most like iconic.
Oh, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
So he was just walking around the ancient. Well, I mean, like in the 40s or 50s Mexico's street, and he was taking a lot of pictures, also in the countryside. So he has a very very interesting work. This is like another one.
That's cool.
That is like a eyeglasses shop. So I mean, he's really really good, and this book is like I found it in 400 pesos or something like that, and it's huge. So
it looks very nice. I'm not aware of that guy, I think.
Yeah, Manuel Alvarez Bravo. We'll maybe we'll send you the link. So
of course,
get that book.
I just found another one that maybe that's the one that you saw. It's his name is Enrique Metinides. He was a photographer for a newspaper, and he had a lot of photograph about like accidents. The one that you were talking about. That's the one. I think that's the one you're talking about.
Yeah, no, it is. I was thinking about that one, but it's also tricky. Like, let's say that you're from a lower class in Mexico and you have a camera that gives you access to being able to document the people who are like you. But if I walk around and I photograph people who are a lot less privileged or more poor than me, that's going to look very different. And it's going to have this not so good taste about it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to sometimes, I know sometimes I will be photographing a lot of people who are less privileged than I am. But a lot of my Mexican friends, they're like, they know it comes from a good place and it comes from a place of documentary and curiosity instead of like exploitation and so on. Because how many people who text me on Instagram in my DMs with 4 photos of people that are homeless asking me, what do you think about this? And it gets old really quick.
Yeah, actually, I think that's the bigger problem about street photography.
Yeah,
That wall that you break when you took a photo about a people that is in some conditions actually,
yeah,
and some photographers are doing that because they want sometimes likes or be
yeah.
popular. So that's
Something sensational.
exactly. So that's the problem because I don't know, maybe photography in conflict wars or something like that. It's different because the work of this photographer is making a registration of these scenarios, or making a photograph about that important moment of human history. So that's their work in this moment. Well, in this topic,
Hmm.
people who took photos of homeless people, it's not it's not their work. It's they're just doing that because famous, and
And
I don't
you're
know.
not doing anything. You're just walking
Yeah,
around with a camera, taking a photo of someone who's drunk or sleeping. If you're doing war photography, then you need to be in a war zone. So then you're
Yeah.
at least doing something yourself, right? But I
yeah,
remember I was talking to my ex-girlfriend when there was this a lot of femicide and protest in Mexico City.
yeah,
And I also
Mhm.
said, like, maybe I should go with my camera and document how this is. And we talked fucking nights and evenings and everything about should I not. And her point of view was a lot like, it's not for you, this thing. And you're not the one who
Yeah.
should be taking this, especially like you. It doesn't make sense. And I was like, look, it's history, it's important, it's documentation. I'm okay if someone throws anything at me because I know it's not a good time to be there. So I wouldn't
yeah,
judge
Mhm.
anyone and I would be there with like a hockey helmet or I don't know. But I didn't go because I was like, this is probably not for me. But I think in order for me to understand that, I also had to talk with someone who understand how it is to be a women, how to be a female in Mexico City, and I don't understand that.
yeah,
So yeah, I didn't go there. Speaking of this conversation, right?
Yeah, it was. I mean, we as men, we knew
mm,
that weren't our time to being taking pictures. I mean, it's well documented. There were so many female photographers, great photographers that were there, and that got that on images.
Yeah,
They were like making history with those images, and we could do that. I mean, 2020 was the perfect example.
yeah,
I mean, street photography in 2020, it is so interesting, it is
yeah.
so diverse, it is so surprising because
The
the
Black
city
Lives Matter
changed.
movement as well in the
yeah,
States,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, also,
Like
yeah,
if you
yeah.
go there as a white guy with a camera,
yeah,
I mean, it's weird, right?
Yeah, but I mean, we are so into this world that we, I mean, it happens to me. I sometimes forgot that things are happening and things are changing right now and so fast. You can literally go outside every day and take a picture that probably doesn't mean anything to you that day, but uh, a couple of years later,
Yeah.
maybe it has that message. Maybe
And
you
like you
got.
say, you could do so many things. Why are you then going to a theme or like a women's only march when you can go
Yeah,
all
of
these other
course.
places?
Of course, yeah. That was her, their space and their
Yeah,
process and their time to document that exclusively,
I
practically,
agree. I agree.
and it
I
was
wasn't
great.
sure about that before I started having a lot of talks about it, but
Okay.
now I know better.
yeah. And actually, you have to. Well, it's. I think this. There's some moments that you have to keep your camera down
I agree.
to to let
But then
other
again,
people.
it's not like if you're black, you can only photograph black demonstrations. If you're
Yeah,
white, you can only photograph white. If you're a man, you can only
yeah,
photograph men. Like, but there are some things that are just like, this is not for you right now.
exactly,
And then there's something that is free for all.
exactly. And that's
Yeah.
a big topic about street photography and street photographers. And actually, in Mexico, I think is there is something about privacy
Yeah.
that people, when you took a photo of a people, of as a person, I don't know, maybe they feel attacked
Mhm.
because you are you are taking a photo of them, or I
Yeah.
don't know. It's something very very interesting. I i was in that situation actually, like you. I took a photo of a house because there was a minivan, and it was very cute, and I think, well, maybe I will take this photo. I took this photo, and like a minute after that, a lady come after me and said, why are you taking that photo? um why? And I
Yeah.
was like,
That's a good
sorry.
question.
Yeah, why? And I was like, well, uh, uh, it's something called street photography, but they don't have that concept in their mind. They don't
No, no, no.
understand that.
You're trespassing at that
Yeah,
moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trespassing that. So that's very interesting. Maybe in some other countries, I don't know, maybe in Denmark, it's different. Or
There is two things about that, because in Mexico you would maybe be scared about like who is photographing. If someone was taking pictures outside my place right now, I would be like,
what
what
was
the
that?
fuck is going on?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because more like a fear for maybe not my life is a little dramatic, but more like a fear. But in Denmark and in Europe, you're actually not allowed to do street photography, which is insane.
really?
So the rules are, I cannot isolate a subject on the street in public. If someone can recognize that person, they can ask me to take that photo down. So if you do street
What?
photography, you cannot isolate a person. You can take a photo of a group, but
Yeah,
you can't
yeah.
isolate someone.
Okay, I didn't know that. I thought
It's
that
a
it
privacy
was
law.
okay.
That is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine how few photo books there could be in the world. We have to burn all photo books if that was the rule.
Yeah.
All photo books are isolated people who you can recognize. I don't care what photo book you have, there will be a stranger that has not said yes to this photo.
Yeah.
Of course, of course.
So I'm twisted about this. So right now, when I'm thinking about where I should move, I honestly think I thought a lot about Spain because I know the language already. Oh, kind of. Hey, tranquilo. I know taxi Spanish. Okay, and and then
Let's switch to Spanish to try that.
sí, claro que sí, pero pero para cuanto yo buscar países para move to.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I was thinking Spain is in Europe, and Europe will have this law. But I think in Spain they are a little more relaxed about these laws than in Scandinavia. In Denmark, Sweden, Norway, they are very strict about how we deal with information, whether it's a service who asks for your email and name and everything. So they're very strict privacy laws, not because of the fear, but because of the way you deal with data. But I do think that in Spain it's going to be a little more like a little less or a little more relaxed. Not as relaxed as Mexico, of course, but a little more. So when I'm thinking about where to go right now, that's in my mind.
And also,
Yeah.
I think it's something that it's happens in all Latin America, right, Beto? Because we have like the same chip in our minds that maybe Latin America is very similar in some things, like this kind of the concept of privacy and the concept of trespassing, or maybe some scenarios are similar to Mexico. I don't know.
I think it is because of fear, and you're always like watching your back.
Yeah.
And if you see someone taking pictures of you, even you as a photographer, maybe like pause a little and say, okay, is he taking pictures of me, or is he taking pictures of the street, the corner? I mean, you think about that because we grew up with this fear and this like culture of taking care like closely to your things and yourself when you're on the street.
Yeah.
I think that is I think that is generally in Latin America.
But I also
But
think that if you have a phone, it's not good because everyone has a phone. So if I stick a phone up your ass, up your face, then that would be weird.
yeah,
Then
I would be
people would be
scared.
like, then people would be like, why are you taking a phone or a picture with his phone? Is that for private use or something? But if you have like a camera, then they probably know, he might be into photography. So when I switched from my phone to a real camera, it was a lot less, I got access to more people, I think, and I felt better about it because I thought I could tell them with my camera, I do photography, instead of just sneaking photos with a phone, right?
Yeah, of course. And you're like you're perceived like a photographer, like an artist,
Yeah.
more than a creepy guy with his cell phone, like taking pictures and posting them online immediately. I think
Or
that
for yourself.
for yourself for later use.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. That is, I mean, the bigger the camera, the scarier I will be in the streets. But I mean, I have the digital one of 35 millimeters. I have very compact cameras, so I'm very comfortable like having them hanging in my neck in the street. But also digital, I have the Fujifilm XT2.
Oh yeah.
And that's really compact, comfortable, and it isn't that invasive. So obviously it looks like a camera. People like somehow notice you, but they're okay. It's not a huge camera, but it looks like you're doing artistic work or something like that. Yeah, it is an advantage. Yeah.
And actually, if the people notice you as a tourist, they don't do anything because they think that he's taking photo of my country.
He's on vacation. Yeah,
he's on vacation.
And if I do it with a phone, right, then it feels weird, but maybe I could get away with it. I did kind of in some ways. But if a Mexican with a phone takes photos of another Mexican, or if I was in Denmark and I asked a person, can I take a photograph of you with my phone? They would be like, what the fuck are you thinking about? No, and fuck off. There's no way.
Yeah,
it is weird that the smaller the device, the more invasion you feel.
Yeah, because it is crazy. You are like a spy. No.
It seems like you're trying to sneak out with pictures and nobody noticed.
And imagine if you're like a old guy, that's not gonna work.
Oh yeah, not gonna work at all.
Frederik, and you have a video on YouTube that you took photos of the Mexico subway, the metro.
Yeah.
So how was working on that? Because I was taking photos on the metro, and some policeman comes to me and said, "You can do that. You can do that," and because this is
because you're Mexican.
because because you're Mexican. So so how was for you? How was that for you? Because
so I've been in the subway a couple of times, maybe 5 times or something. And I've also got thrown away in the subway where they said one of the first time they're like, you can't take photos here. And I was like, why? I mean, I'm just taking photos and all that. So they just said, fuck off, go away. So I made 2 videos in the subway. One of the ones that you saw, but I knew that they might throw us away because I've tried that before. So when I went down there, I was like, okay, I went down there with a video guy filming me and with a model at some point. And I just thought maybe we will get thrown out, and then we go up, we take another subway and we go down, and we will just, this video will get done. And if we're going to get thrown out 5 times making the video, then that's what we're going to do. But actually for my 2 videos in the subway, we didn't meet any guard who said anything.
Very lucky.
And people were,
you were lucky.
I think I was lucky too, because I tried it the other time and it was like immediately. So we didn't see guards at that point. And the people, I usually like look people in the eye and like let them know I have a camera and say like, is it cool? And a lot of them just smile and they're like, it's fine. So it's not like I walk around like sneaking photos in the subway, because that's not going to feel good for me or for anyone. And I see a lot of people doing that and thinking like, this is street photography. And they barely walk it. They make me take photos like this and sneaking it like that. And that's not going to feel good for you or for the person who are in it. And you don't want to think about what if I get busted. You want to do it right. And imagine if you're sitting on the subway and you're picking your nose or scratching your ass or whatever you do, and then suddenly there's a photo of you on Metro Chilango or something like that, where you're sitting there. Maybe you're sitting, I don't know. It's better, I think, if you do it in the right way. And I would like to meet everyone who I have ever photographed, and they would be cool with me, instead of someone seeing it and being like, who the fuck is Frederik thinking he is, posting this photo, exploiting me to get likes on Instagram.
Yeah. Actually, there is a photographer, American photographer called Bruce Gilden.
Oh my God, he is a mess, man.
He did he is doing his work is very, I don't know how to say this, very,
it's intrusive as fuck.
Yeah, actually,
controversial, intrusive. I mean, he burns your pupils with that flash in your face.
But he does two kinds, right? He does portraits that are where he gets where he says, can we do a portrait? And then he does his insane candid street photography. Those are very different how he does those two.
Actually, he had a very popular photo that two ladies, one in a wheelchair, and he took the photo very close to the lady, and it looked like she was in a roller coaster, but actually she's just scared about that photo. So it's something on the topic of ethics and maybe what is called a good good photo. I don't know, maybe it's very tricky, the topic.
I mean, he's a big guy, and that's how he can get away with it.
Yeah.
Because if there's people on YouTube trying to imitate him, and people hate it. But people because he's Bruce Gilden, they're like, no, now it's art. It's like, I don't know. You're not very nice. Like, I don't know. I hope people follow him everywhere he goes with a fucking flash. Whenever he goes, if he's drunk, if he's feeling sick, and then he can try to see how that feels on himself. That said, I do like his portraits where he gets really close up with the wide angle lens and the flash in the middle. I like those. One thing that I really care about, though, is that he doesn't photograph down. He's wealthier and more privileged than all of the people who he photographs. But Bruce Gilden, mentally and how he feels, is like an outcast. Like everyone that he photographs, he might have Leica money, but in his heart, he is an outcast like everyone he photographs. And there's a big distinction about this that people don't talk about, I think. Like, just because you are more privileged, and like Bruce Gilden, he has a Leica and he is like a renowned photographer all around the world. But I think it's okay that he goes to these crazy places to take photos, because I know that that's who he compares himself to. And that's so different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it doesn't seem like he's abusing it. Sorry.
Yeah, said like that. It's also like taking taking pictures of himself in the mirror. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
And he went to a place where people are invalid, where people have mental diseases and so on. And he went in there making animal sounds and doing portraits with all of these people who are not mentally well.
Yeah.
And it looked like he has never had more fun and being more connected to other people he has ever met. And I was like, of course he needs to be there, because that's who he can relate and communicate with. So even though he's a lot richer and wealthier and all of that, then I actually think it's fine that he photographed people who, like you say, he mirrors himself in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting about his job. I mean, I'm gonna go through his photographs again with this mindset, because I know I find them more interesting.
Yeah, and he also has talks on YouTube that you would like, where he talks about all of this, like who he identifies with and so on.
Yeah, that is great.
Actually, I'm doing a YouTube channel, or doing a YouTube series where I call it "How to Take Photos Like," where I go out and I take photos like Vivian Meyer and Bruce Gilden and all of these, and everyone asks. Actually. Yeah, exactly. Joel fucking wrote me an email. His studio wrote me an email and said, we have watched it multiple times and they loved it and everything. So that was amazing.
Wow.
But the people always ask me about two photographers that I should do, Bruce Gilden and Van Ho. And that is just so complicated, both of them. I'll do it at some point, but damn, man, I'm not gonna do it like Bruce Gilden does it, but I'm gonna do his portraits.
Yeah,
with like a wide angle lens and a flash.
Yeah, actually, Beto was told me about Van Ho before the interview.
Yeah.
We were talking about.
Yeah, we were talking about him, and great that you brought that. What do you think about his work? It is
actually
mind blowing. I
is.
like it very, very much. Yeah.
I mean, how he works with light. I remember I'm gonna do Henri Cartier-Bresson as well, and Cartier-Bresson said that what he cares about in a photograph is the shapes, and light is like perfume on the photograph. And what Van Ho does is light first and everything else second. But when we talk about photography, everyone talks about light. And it was just so interesting to hear Cartier-Bresson talk about shapes. He was like, it's all about shapes. Fuck everything else. Light is fine. And that's such a cool distinction between these two really great photographers thinking about two different things. And that was just interesting. And some musicians, they probably think when you make a song, it's about the melody. Some people think it's about the lyrics. Some people think about it's the vibe or the beat or whatever. So you can get to something great depending on what you choose. It's fine. There's no rules.
Some musicians think the music, I'm sorry, it's about the silence, the silence between the melodies. Yeah.
The rhythm, actually, yeah.
It is very cool. And when you say Van Ho, I mean, I don't even know where to start. I don't know how I'm going to make a video about Van Ho and how to do it like him, because it's impossible, man. Like how he does it. And he did it with this camera.
Yeah.
He did it with, I don't know.
I don't know I think maybe his process was like hang around the same place, different hours, studying the light and waiting for the perfect scenario to make that click. Or maybe took a 1,000 photos of that particular space, and we've only have the opportunity to see one.
That's so interesting you say that, because a lot of the people who I'm like, I'm going to take photos like Vivian Meyer, and maybe she has 80,000 negatives, right? So we only see the top 1%, maybe top 0.1. How am I going to go out and take photos like that? So when I make these series, like you say, I should actually find all these contact sheets, maybe find the top 10% or top 30%, because that's actually how she took photographs. And Van Ho, when I'm building like a list about things, all these photographers to prepare to make the videos, because it takes a while to study them. And Van Ho said a lot of times, like the only thing he cares about is going up in the morning when the sun rises and when the sun sets. And then he wants to find the perfect place for that. And that's it. And also he photographed people who were as unfortunate as himself. So when he was doing all these photographs, he came from a rough neighborhood as well. So he just documented his own neighborhood, and he didn't go there trying to document something that he didn't understand. But they're amazing.
Yeah, actually, it's very, very interesting. And actually, Vivian Mayer, that her history, it's very, very interesting, because they found the negatives in her attic.
In the storage.
Yeah, in the storage. And it was Joel Meyerowitz who took these negatives, and he works on them, and because of we know Vivian Mayer. So that's
actually there was a guy who he bought a lot of storages because he
contacted Joel, right?
Exactly. It was that way around, but it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's very, very crazy.
But Van Ho and Cartier-Bresson, William Klein, Elliot Erwitt.
Actually,
all of
Elliot
these are like in my pipeline right now of videos.
You can do a series like Elliot Erwitt with dogs.
Oh yeah, but you have idea. I have so many notes here about the dogs. Yeah. And when you see the dogs, sometimes they jump or they do something crazy. And then I found a lot of videos on YouTube, and he says like sometimes when I go and I see these dogs, I go like poof. And then the dogs react to it, and the owner is like, "What are you doing?" And then he takes the photos. That's why he has all these photos or all these dogs in so funny positions.
Yeah.
But I'm like, do I really need to walk around in Mexico City yelling at dogs?
Well, maybe around Condesa and Roma, it shouldn't
Parque
be that
Mexico.
hard. Parque
Yeah.
Mexico,
Yeah, you can enter to the special zone with the dogs in Parque Mexico, and you
I
can do
was
a
there
lot
a
of.
couple of weeks ago. Yeah. I
So,
actually think
Frederik,
like I'm gonna leave Mexico in 1 week, and I'm thinking Elliot Irwin is the last one I'm gonna do here before I go. So maybe I'm gonna do that.
Do it. You
perfect.
will enjoy it.
Looking forward to see that video.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna need a Leica M3 for the Cartier-Bresson video.
That would be nice. I'm just gonna talk to Leica.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's a good idea.
It's
Yeah,
funny. I also get a lot of comments like saying like maybe you should try to take photos like Frederik instead of copying other people, and you will only be like an echo instead of yourself. And
Oh,
I'm like, oh my god,
Come on.
it touched me a little more when I first got the comments, but now I don't give a shit because there's so many people who say so many nice things. But I'm like, do you think that Daft Punk made music and found their own music just
no.
without listening to others? And it's not like I'm only gonna do what other photographers are doing, but everyone is a sample of what came before them.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, Daft Punk get away with sampling the great ones. So they found
Jay-Z,
it-
Tupac,
Yeah.
the jazz musicians, Johnny Cash, Bob Dylan, everyone is like a sample of what came before. But it's just funny.
And before them, David Bowie did the same thing. He was very interested in all kind of music and rhythms, and also he did a lot of painting. So all the painting that he did was because he was interested in something of other artists, and he
Of
said,
course.
yes, I'm copying because when I'm copying, I'm learning, and I'm doing my stuff. So it's I think this is normal. It's a process.
I
For
mean,
artists is normal.
I mean, 100%. And Hunter S. Thompson, he wrote every work of what's it called, Hemingway's books, word by word by word by word, and copied it because he wanted to get the rhythm and feeling of how Hemingway wrote. And I was like, that's amazing. But I just wanted to share it. It was funny.
We're going to do a very, very short, well, I don't know if it's short, but because sometimes it took a lot of minutes, but it's a little dynamic that we have for closing the podcast.
Mhm.
Is something called ¿Qué prefieres?
Mhm.
Is so
What do you prefer?
Exactly. So we're going to give you two options, and you have to select one and tell us why.
Okay. Tits or ass? No.
That's the first question.
Yeah. How do you know?
How do you know? What the fuck?
Yeah. Okay. So David, do you want to start?
Yeah. So
Okay.
Frederik, the first question is, what do you prefer, a taco or tamal?
Taco.
Why?
I don't like tamales.
Why? What's that?
And
Well,
actually, I don't know if you guys know this, but I actually have a pastor right here.
It's great.
Like this.
Yeah. No,
Nice,
you definitely lived in Mexico with that. That's
yeah,
your
I
mark.
went to Guanajuato. Yeah, I went to Leon, and that's what I'm never going back to Leon, by the way.
Why?
I don't know. I don't like that place. It was kind of I don't know. It's not for me. But Guanajuato was very beautiful.
Yeah.
And like the city, so pretty. And then right next to Leon, that it looks like so different.
Yeah, Guanajuato it's a classic colonial city, so it's beautiful actually.
Okay. Next question. This is it's a good question. Film or digital?
That's tricky.
Yes,
Film
it is.
for now. Film
Okay.
for now.
Okay.
But I do think that it sucks because when I started doing film, I don't treat my digital camera with the respect it deserves. Because sometimes when you shoot film, you think like, let's say you climb a mountain without any security on yourself.
Yeah.
and you're gonna climb it so carefully. And if you have a leash, then you're gonna just walk up, because if you fall, it doesn't matter. And when I walk around and I do digital photography, I don't put myself that hard into it anymore, because I know it's not as expensive. I can shoot 10,000 photos. It doesn't really matter. So I need to find a way to get back to pretend that every exposure matters with digital.
Like it is film. Yeah, it's a different ritual. It's a different mindset. It happens to me all the time. So I have my digital camera. It stays at home, so I'm only shooting film right now.
Actually,
I think that
funny.
Actually, we're using our digital cameras as webcams right now. So
as webcam.
Exactly. No. But that's the thing. I also have my digital camera for video and everything. But I want to go back to it a little bit, because I know there's some photos that I can't take so fast with my Rolleiflex. So I will try to go a little bit back and forth.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. Next question is 35 millimeters or medium format.
I don't care. It's the same for me. I honestly, I have no idea what I would think the difference would be. I think it's the exact same thing for me.
Okay.
If it's a great camera, I'm up for shooting with it.
That's an interesting answer. I think it's the first time I've ever heard that it is the same. I like that.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I think sometimes we can get too nerdy about ourselves. Like, now I have a medium format. Fuck all 35 millimeter. But I don't think that's healthy. It's kind of the same with digital and analog again. I think I want to go back to just like, it's about photography. What can you do with a camera? And if you ask this, I don't know.
Yeah.
I would like to focus a little less on the tools going forward.
That is the way, I think.
That's the way.
Next question: cold weather or hot weather?
Cold, always.
Great.
Okay, next question. Salsa or habanero?
Habanero.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
100%. I just had a habanero falafel pizza today, and all the Mexicans who were serving it to me, they were like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "I'm positive. Just go all in." No, I eat a lot of spicy food.
Great. Perfect. Okay, another tricky one: black and white or color?
Black and white. Yeah, I've only shot black and white for the past 7 months. So great. I just bought an insane amount of Kodak Tri-X, because I'm like, I actually when I was studying for Elliot Erwitt, I looked at his book and I was like, why would I need color? Look at this. Why would I need color? And instead of just buying a lot of Portra 400 and switching all these things, I was like, I'm going to focus on black and white for a year. And then maybe I'm going to focus on color for a year. But I'm going to focus on one thing and then see how that goes. And for the next year, I'll probably stay with black and white.
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect. I think it is kind of the same, like what we said about digital and film. Shooting in black and white, it is another mindset, another ritual. It takes more effort because we see in color every day. So trying to change that way of view, that specific scene you're shooting, knowing the contrast of your film, knowing the how the picture will render itself, it is another mindset. I think it needs more concentration, and it's I don't know, it's kind of a meditation, like an active meditation, because you're in with yourself and you're like go into photography in that moment.
I think it's a little romantic, and I think I like those kind of photos as well. So I think, and Joel Merwitz, he was like, if photography is about describing a photo, why would I not use colors? Because it can describe more. I was like, that makes sense too. So I think it's also like a personal taste. But yeah, as you say, if you took a photo of me right now, then I might blend in with the background because there's no color that can separate the subject from the background. So when I shoot a lot of black and white, I'm so conscious about how can I isolate the subject from the background? Because the background might be blue and the subject is completely black. So on color, it would just be separated by colors. But in black and white, then I need another separator.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
actually, they on black and white, some people thought that it's just black and white, but no, you have a different kind of films, panchromatics and ortho. I don't know.
Ilford, Kodak,
Yeah,
Tri-X.
so there is a lot of options, and they work in very specific situations, and for every specific photographer also. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, you can't forget about color because you need to know how the green color reacts to that film, or the blues, or I mean with
But
the
some people say like,
no.
oh, you just put a black and white filter on a photo and then
Yeah.
it becomes average to pretty good. And like an easy way to make it look more artistic.
Yeah.
And I also understand that because sometimes some of my color photos don't work. And then I look at them in black and white and then it suddenly works.
Yeah. It has, when you remove the color, the contrast, texture, the shapes become more like
Like come to
they,
life, right?
yeah, they come to life. They give another perspective to the picture that when you see it in color doesn't have the same impact.
I agree.
I also make fun of that oh, just make it black and white and you'll be okay. That's funny, but it is kind of true. Yeah.
It can be, yeah, sometimes, yeah.
And
Yeah,
also
yeah.
happens on movies. They have this this mindset of let's do it in black and white because it's more artistic, but actually it doesn't work at all.
I have a question. Do you guys know if Roma, the movie, was shot in black and white or did they make it black and white in post? Do you know?
I maybe I'll be wrong, but I think it was shot on black and white.
Yeah, also I
That's
think so.
wild, man. To
Yeah,
make such a big production, that's
I have.
ballsy.
Yeah, yes, it is. Let me.
Yes, actually I thought the same. And also the new movie for David Fincher called Mank. I think that it's also shoot on black and white. So
Damn.
well, maybe I don't. I have a question because it's David Fincher and he loves CGI and all the VFX. So I don't know if maybe
Oh no, guys,
no.
sorry. It was converted to black and white in post production.
Pussies.
Okay. Did you hear that, Quaron? You're okay. Wow. But how was the other movie, The Artist? That was also another movie
Yeah,
in black
I
and
think
white.
so.
Yeah, I don't know if that. I don't know, maybe. But there is a lot of movie makers that use film for their movies. So I don't know. It's very tricky also.
Yeah, but
So
I think that there is a tendency to shoot in black and white that it's spreading now. I mean I know some music videos were shot in black and white digitally with the red that uh,
Yeah.
created a sensor that it's only black and white.
Like the fucking Leica monochrome.
Oh yeah,
That's
like a monochrome.
insane. You have to be a fucking lunatic to do that. To
a
buy that
a very
camera.
wealthy
Yeah,
lunatic.
you need to be not a photographer. You need to be a dentist or a lawyer or something.
Yeah, of course.
Frederick, so this is the last one question,
Mhm.
and is German cameras or Japanese cameras?
I have one German and one Japanese.
Yeah,
That's interesting. German.
German.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so. It's like a build like a tank.
Yeah,
yeah,
It
literally.
is.
Yeah,
But
they
the
are.
price is also different, right?
yeah.
Yeah, it is valued as a tank also.
Yep.
It costs the same.
Frederick, a question.
Yes.
This is the game is over, so
Yeah, okay.
this is another question. Is there is a brand from Denmark or something that make cameras or films or something like that?
I have honestly, that's the thing. I started photography in Mexico. I have no clue. I don't think so. I think German just like, and we're neighbors with Germany, but I
Mhm.
think they just like took over that market. I don't think there is anything like a Danish camera brand that is worth talking about at all. Or I don't even know about film. I couldn't tell you. I don't think so.
Okay, well,
We could look into that, and we'll
yeah,
let you know.
But I mean, Germany has what Rolleiflex, they have Hasselblad, Leica.
Voigtlander.
Yeah, they are like,
Yeah, they have a lot of or brands, Practica.
uh,
Um, I don't
and
know.
then they last for what 100 years and they're fine.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, that's those are very very good cameras, and also that's why they are very expensive.
But also this camera right here, that's the most expensive camera I got, and I cannot make YouTube videos with it. I use my Fuji for that, right? And it's like, it's kind of silly because I was like, some people, when they had like a, a recorder, what's it called? When you put like an LP on, instead of having a CD player, they
Yeah,
had LPs. And
Oh
I
yeah.
was like, why do you want that? You're just like a hipster and you're paying too much for it and all of that. And then I go out and I buy a fucking Rolleiflex.
A
And it's
Rolleiflex.
a lot more expensive than my Fuji camera. And I'm like, okay, now here we go. It's just funny. But I don't care what you
Yeah.
say. When I walk around with this camera and I take a street portrait, I care more about the photo that I take. And if it works, if my exposure is fine and everything is good, I'm going to be so much more happy with the outcome of that photograph than with a 56 millimeter 1.2 lens that is so sharp and can go to 1.2 aperture instead of 2.8. But that's how it is.
Yeah, it's
It
almost
feels different.
a 3D render. It is so different. And also you don't have the weight of the camera, the waist viewfinder, the sounds that makes the click. It is
Yeah,
it is a another ritual. It is so
100%.
enjoyable. Yeah.
yeah. There is something that the mechanical stuff have that make us happy. I don't know why. It's something that I don't know. It's like
But
see like magic.
how far are we going to go with it? Like, what if the prices increased for scanning and developing and film rolls by 2 or by 3? Like, when are we going to say, ja, no more, no more? Now it doesn't make sense. I don't think there is a ceiling, and there has to be a ceiling where we're like,
Yeah.
here and no more. Because in Mexico, it's really expensive. Like, it's a lot cheaper in the States, and in Denmark, it's not that cheap either. And in Mexico, the average salary compared to the States or in Denmark is like 1/3. So actually,
Yeah.
in Mexico, it's 3 times more expensive compared to the salary that you earn to do film photography. So I also
Yes,
think
it
at
is.
some point we have to be like, it's worth this much. It's not worth this much.
Yeah,
But
please stop. It should be illegal to go far at this point. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And then we need to say, no, it's not worth it anymore. But everyone who shoots film, it's like everyone
Yeah,
who gets 1 to 2, they always get 2, and they will keep doing film because they are committed to it.
I think that that's
Yeah,
the
it
main
is.
reason you are leaving Mexico because of that.
Yeah.
You need to save more money because here is very expensive. I think
But
so.
the thing is, I also, when I worked in Mexico, I also had a Mexican salary.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it is expensive. We should protest about that also, because I mean, with Fuji stopping the
yeah.
production of 400H, Kodak, it's like planning to rise the prices and again. I mean, we should.
We should also ask us,
Yeah.
why are we taking photos? If it's for taking photographs and all of that, imagine how much you can do in an editing program with Lightroom and everything. You can make a digital photo look almost the same as an analog, but it's just not the same.
Yeah.
But
That
if it's
simulation.
about capturing a moment, then what are we doing with this shit?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
Actually, it is.
enjoying the process. Yeah.
yeah, I think so.
And staying broke.
Yep, staying broke, that's for sure.
Frederick, thank you very much for this chat. It was a pleasure, really, really a pleasure, and I hope you can come back to Mexico in the future, because well, maybe this 2020 is it wasn't the best year of, but maybe sometimes in the future we can go out to take photos and share thoughts like we did today. So thank you very much,
100%.
Frederick.
And thank you so much for the invitation and everything. And I have not been to Tijuana and a lot of other places. So I will 100% be back. And then Beto can show us the north.
Yeah. You're very welcome. Great food. It is hot weather. It is
Yeah, I
like,
heard you can cook an omelette on the street in Monterrey or in what's
yeah,
it called?
almost
Yeah,
like
yeah.
in the summer, 45 degrees Celsius at
And
the
you
afternoon.
drive with a Carta Blanca
Yeah,
between your
Yeah,
legs.
yeah. That's the only way. A
that's the
very
only
cold
way.
a caguama carta blanca,
Exactly, caguamas,
because you need
100%.
to stay hydrated. Yeah.
Claro.
I think you will miss the beer and the food from Mexico.
There's a lot of things I will miss. Nah, I'm gonna come back 100%. So I'm excited for that.
Well,
Yeah, let us know. Let us know when you come back. I mean, we should grab a beer before you go, but it's very short time, and with this pandemic thing, it is kind of hard. But
Yeah.
you should let us know when you come back, and we go and make a photo walk and grab a beer
100%.
at lunch. Yeah, perfect.
we are done for that.
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you guys.
Well,
It was a pleasure.
Frederick, thank you again, and have a good one. Have a nice trip, and let us know where you're going.
Yeah,
I
Just
will.
DM
I'll
us
keep
and
you
let
in
us.
the loop.
Perfect.
and in
That'll be
one
great.
week we will know that you are in Tijuana.
Yeah.
Out of
And
the nothing, I
and
moved to
texting me.
Tijuana.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey guys, I don't leave Mexico. That will be nice. Well, thank you very much, Frederick.
Thank you guys. It
Thank
was a
you,
pleasure.
Frederick.
Have a good night.
You
Same
too.
to
Bye.
you. Thanks.
Bye.